in Ivory Park and earned a scholarship to attend university in New York. While he was there, he had a unique opportunity to work for the former United States Secretary of State Hillary Clinton as an intern. He is back in South Africa and works for Google as an associate account strategist for Sub-Saharan Africa. He's also passionate about reproductive health, and when he was 18, he was invited to interview Winnie Madikizela-Mandela on MTV Africa. The man I'm about to talk to is Goodman Lepota, and he's here in studio. What a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for this.
Well done for everything you've achieved to date, and welcome to Morning Live.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Thanks for this. I mean, I wouldn't have done it without the support of a lot of South Africans.
I can imagine.
And my parents growing up in the township here in South Africa. So I'm really grateful.
I mean, let's begin in the township. So,
sure.
You know, we talk about the fact that you come from a very, very humble background. I mean, what was it like for you growing up?
I wouldn't say it was easy. I mean, I went to a public school. Obviously, there were challenges with, access to a lot of stuff. That is either going to school or walking to school and all that. But I think what was a change thing, or a thing that determined whether or not I became successful, was the self-awareness. Like, I told myself from a very young age that my mother comes from a very different generation, and I have opportunities now, and I can potentially do something that's different. I guess it's the passion and the drive and the belief that my life could potentially be different from my mother's generation. And I stick to that, and I continued doing that even when I was in the US.
That's fantastic. So you were studying, and then you got a scholarship to go and study in University of New York.
Yeah, so I went to a township school called JNS Secondary School.
Yeah.
And then around 2011 to 2012, I got a scholarship to the African Leadership Academy. The African Leadership Academy selects around 100 aspiring students around the African continent, and then they send us to the school for about 2 years, teaching us African studies, leadership, and entrepreneurship. And through that, I then got an opportunity to go to the US. But during that time, before I actually moved to college in New York, I took a gap year, and I lived in the Silicon Valley for some time because I wanted to start a business then. I learned a lot. And my mother, I remember we had a phone conversation. She was like, yeah, starting a business is great, but you probably want to go and get a degree. So I did that, and I went to Marist College, and that's when I got my business degree. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And but I mean, even prior to this, it was you already had the makings of someone different and someone that was going to succeed, because at the age of 13 you already started something which was a reproductive health campaign for young people in your school in Ekurhuleni.
Yeah, sure. I was I still am very passionate about issues that affect young people in South Africa, and one of them was then teenage pregnancy was huge. And I guess I remember then the debate was whether they wanted to allow pregnant girls to go to school or not. And some of the arguments that I had in terms of public policy around the issue was that you have to give to some degree access to the girls even though that they're pregnant, because obviously the guys then have the option to do that. But now as I'm back, I'm still interested in public policy, and one of the policies that I'm really interested in, and I think the government should focus on, is access to internet, making internet very affordable and very fast. Like, for example, in the US, you're always connected. And having been introduced to the world through the internet, I actually see the importance of it here in South Africa. The prices are very high here in South Africa. I remember I would pay, I think, around 500 for a plan, but I'd get access to internet
everywhere.
Everywhere.
And here it never seemed to run out.
Yeah, and here it's pretty much expensive. And you think about that child sitting in the township who wants to have access to internet, they can't be spending more than 1,000 Rand on data costs. So one of the things, on public policy that young people have to be looking into going after the 2019 election is to look at parties and whether they have policies in place after 2019 to actually make sure that they integrate the South African infrastructure internet system to be more competitive like other African countries. When you look at Morocco, it's investing a lot of money. When you look at GDP, a lot of money into the internet infrastructure. You look at Senegal, you look at Kenya, they're actually ahead of South Africa when it comes comes to that. This is a very, very important issue. Some people have even argued that internet access is actually a human right. But this is something that the government should be looking into, especially for young people. Data costs are expensive in South Africa right now.
I like the way you've moved that because we're sitting at an election time where the young people seem to be absent from voting.
Right.
And this is probably one thing that you should look for, because this is, it's as you say, a human rights violation not to have access to data and to be paying such high costs. I love what you've said. Now, you talk about politics, and I suppose it makes sense when you spent a lot of time working alongside US politicians like Hillary Clinton and Senator Tim Kaine as well.
Sure.
What was that like?
Yeah, that was a life-changing experience. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You know, elections in the US happen it takes place in every 4 years. So I tell people this, it sounds a bit trivial. I just applied online because I was really interested in like policy making and American politics, and I got an opportunity to be a communications intern. And I did that for around 5 months, and having to see that, obviously the election was against the current president right now, President Donald Trump. I mean, I did that pretty much because of the policies, and it taught me a lot around like policies around young people. It taught me a lot on how to prepare, for an example, for a campaign in a year. And American politicians raise around $1 billion a year. But just to see the infrastructure of that as a South African was quite interesting, because our politics is more standardized. You know, who's going to run. You kind of have an idea who's going to run for president, but in the US it's just so unpredictable and so quick. So I learnt a lot there.
Very unpredictable and confusing to a lot of us, because it is so intense and it is so long. It is such a long process.
Fun, though.
But it is fun, as you say.
Right.
So let me start wrapping this up, because you've now... How long have you been in the States for? How many?
I've been in the US for around 5 years. 4 years of college and a gap year for around a year.
And the great news is you came back, because I suppose you could have stayed there and carried on working there and create your business there. But you've come back to South Africa now.
I've come back to South Africa for a while, and I'm going to be moving to Europe to work for Google as a account associate strategist for Sub-Saharan Africa. But I'll be supporting businesses across the African continent.
Yes.
So that's medium-sized businesses, entrepreneurs that want to advertise or marketing solutions. So I'll be back in the continent once in a while. But that's my aim, like looking at the Sub-Saharan African businesses and seeing how we could actually support them with Google products.
Well, listen, what a pleasure speaking to you.
Thanks so much.
You just got such a wonderful passion, and I just love hearing how guys are just doing so well out there. So
thank you.
You go represent us well in Europe, but make a difference while you're there for us.
Will do. I'll make sure.
Thank you so much for visiting us. Goodman Lepota is passionate about social policy, and of course hoping to make change here on the African continent through his new role at Google. Let's take a break. We'll see you after this.